Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this video is all about Saturn and the nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, in July. It's actually part 3 of my July astrology newsletter. So, being about Saturn and the nodes of the moon, this is obviously a rather sober subject. But we do need to know about it, to do well with it. So first of all, I'm talking about the Saturn transit in July, and then the transit of the nodes of the moon as part 2. So, the Saturn transit in July. I do feel that many of us will be most affected by the energy of the Saturn transit out of all the other astrological influences. Saturn turned retrograde on the 17th of June at 13 degrees Vedic Aquarius. And he only gets to 11 degrees Vedic Aquarius by the end of July. So Saturn's motion is virtually standstill. But the point is, the slower a planet's motion in the heavens, the deeper the planet carves its energy. So Saturn carves his demands regarding his energy and nature deeply into each of us. We are all of us, each of us, being called upon now to tie up loose ends, to dot the I's and cross the T's. Or, if we don't, we'll suffer consequences. But if we respond positively to Saturn's nature, then the point is we will experience golden reaping and grounded joy in correct achievements and results. Now you'll feel Saturn's imperative especially strongly if you have natal planet in Vedic Aquarius or Leo, or if you're in Sade. But of course, not only those signs are key affected. So do check out the house or life area that is Aquarius and also Leo in your birth chart, and all the signs that Saturn aspects now. That will define your life area that will be most affected. Now, at the time of July 2023, with Saturn transiting Aquarius, it's important to know that if you have your moon in the signs Vedic Capricorn, Aquarius or Pisces, you're in Sade. Now Sade is the 7.5-year period when Saturn transits through the sign before the moon in your chart, the sign of the moon, and the sign after the moon's sign. So absolutely do contact me for a reading to fully understand the nature of what you'll experience and the karma demand and mundane incidents that are likely that Saturn will create for you over this 7.5-year period. Contact me also for a reading if Saturn is transiting your 8th house, counted from your natal ascendant or from your natal moon. For this too, you need careful, informed and aware and dedicated information about how to embrace the change, what the change will be, how to manage the difficult energies, Saturn in the 8th. And contact me for a reading most especially if Saturn is transiting your 22nd Drekana now, counted from natal ascendant or natal moon. This transit is dangerous with unavoidable need to know about events in your life and in your consciousness. And if we can respond well and manage Sade Sate, Saturn through the 8th, Saturn through the 22nd Drekana, we will be rewarded in a very grounded, strong way, golden reaping. So what is the Sade Sate period like? Well, I'm in my third in my lifetime, and it's like going down into a pit in some ways. In some ways, feeling cut off from God's grace, so that we can see and learn the limitations of our own individual, divine unaided personality and incarnation, warts and all, as it were. Now, the turning point in Sade Sate is when Saturn ceases to go down into the pit and starts rising up out of it. And that's when Saturn actually transits across your natal moon in your Vedic birth chart. So, you'll be needing to let certain things die now, certain ways of understanding the world, certain behaviour scripts, certain relationship scripts. Let them die. You're being called to, in order to reorganise your psyche, your beliefs, your associations, and your lifestyle. In other words, in order to become more immediately connected to the divine. Now, the point is, the more pride or fixity or illusion about themselves a person has during their Sade Sate period, the more they will suffer. You'll need to deal with turbulence, depression of the mind. And before the exact transit, there'll be a risk of false complacency. But the whole purpose of those experiences is to put you on course. Sade Sate is always typically a period of such things as ill health, separations, confusion, blocks and problems, deaths, having to bring in a new job or life course or way of living. So basically, Sade Sate is a period, the first half of which is like going down into the pit. But as we go down, we feel that we're cut off from God's grace. And the divine purpose is that we have to stand in the lights of our own merits and demerits and develop, because of that, more enlightened consciousness through spiritual practice. Spiritual and healing practices, and you have to find the ones that are right for you. And don't just go for formula being imposed on you. And the divine intention of this experience is so that we can see how inadequate our own merits are and how much we need the divine energy flowing into us in our life. So the ideal response at the time of Sade Sate is to shed parts of our egoic sense of ourself and shed life circumstances that separate us from the divine. And as I said, there's a big turning point halfway through the 7.5-year period. Then we start to rise up out of the pit. So the suffering or negative circumstances we encounter during Sade Sate have a divine aim. It's to get you on course, i.e., get you to more closely adhere to your individual dharma, your individual life purpose, your individual destiny path in this life, and develop a more enlightened consciousness. Your individual dharma is the path that you incarnated to tread in this life. So the divine purpose is to get you to develop a more enlightened consciousness, but also Saturn virtues of patience, fortitude, diligence and ethics. The aim is to motivate us to connect to God and to connect to and become our true self and our true purpose. Yes, develop inner calm, inner content, because we can feel we're on the right path. Self-control and management, circumspection, sense of duty. To overcome what at the egoic level are the delusions of our inhibitions, fluctuating moods, inferiority complexes, unstableness of character, all those things. Maybe quite unfortunate scripts we have. This is me and I act in this way. No one messes with me. But there are many, many variants. So the period of Sadesate, especially the first half, is often accompanied by some big separation from the path you are walking or whatever, or a death in your circle, or a move of house. There'll be a veil of tears, a period of restriction and lack of confidence, a feeling of failure and lack of success and unanticipated problems. Maybe loss of position, heavy losses, sickness, etc. Whereas the second half of this Sadesati 7.5-year period is walking the hard road up. The hard road up to better spirituality and success. And please note that the bottom of the pit may comprise just one aspectation of your natal moon from Saturn, or 3 aspectations, where Saturn goes across your moon and then back again and then forward over it again. Most importantly, our experience of Sadesate can really be helped by good astrological perception of the time scale of the period, of what has to die, of what has to come in, of what your life purpose is, of suggesting transformative and healing tools. How you'll fare will depend partly on your destiny factors, but also on your level of preparedness, level of consciousness, management of your life scripts, etc. And note, by the way, that a somewhat more accurate measurement of the timing of Sadesati is actually achieved by measuring Saturn's passage through the Nakshatras that are either side of your moon. The Nakshatras are the truly wonderful 27 lunar signs of Vedic astrology. So definitely get in touch with me for a Sadesati reading if Sadesati is coming up, or if you're in it. So part 2 of this serious topic, July newsletter, is the nodes of the moon. Rahu, the north node, Ketu, the south node. Now, Ketu, the south node, is transiting the Vedic sign of Libra until the 30th of October. Ketu, always retrograde, is calling each of us to focus and respond to our relationship issues at this time, since he entered the relationship sign of Libra on the 12th of April 2022. In fact, it was this Ketu in Libra energy that motivated me to set up my LoveStarDating international dating site for those on a spiritual pathway who are seeking love. And it's supported by a wonderful panel of astrologers and healers. Specifically, watch out very carefully if Ketu is transiting one of your natal planets in Libra huge demands to understand and respond to past life issues as they affect your destiny and life path and personality now will arise. Definitely get a reading. Ketu's energy can be horrifically sharp, so be careful and aware. Respond to the spiritual insights and openings and opportunities and the needed strategies that may be recommended. You see, basically Ketu cuts away that which should no longer be part of us, and a wrong part to our life path in this life. But Ketu cuts for spiritual purpose, so that we can be reborn as a result of the Ketu cutting. The Ketu Sun transit, Ketu to Sun, can be extremely powerful via an extreme purification process. So check out what house or life area Libra is in your Vedic birth chart. That will define the life area most affected by the Ketu transit. And of course, be aware that if Ketu is transiting over your natal Ketu South node in your birth chart, then you're having your all-important nodal return, your re-encounter with your past life issues, your re-encounter with your fate and destiny demand for this life. Absolutely get a reading from me to handle this optimally. I've just had the centre of my Ketu return, in other words my nodal return, and I had wonderful help sort of coming from nowhere about past life issues, understanding them astrologically and also being offered healing. So get in touch with me for a reading, and be aware that if Ketu is transiting your destiny point at any time, now or at any time, the results can be sharp and nasty. This is called the Bhrigu Bindu in Vedic astrology. But ultimately, you're called to open to and use the insights and maximize them. I have found that Bhrigu Bindu analysis and statement is actually very valid and important to know as a statement of what is my destiny, where is the destiny point in my chart, and what are the transits and activations. Get in touch with me for a reading about that. And I'll explain and I'll suggest channels of awareness and healing. So I am so aware of the potential accuracy and great importance of the destiny point, Bhrigu Bindu. And that's not least because Ketu has just, well, it is still transiting mine now, my destiny point conjunct Mercury in Libra. And it's so obviously true and so obviously crucial to know and so important to implement and work with. You need to know about your destiny point, so get a reading from me that includes that. Okay, the final point, of course, we've looked at Ketu, the south node. We now need to look at Rahu, the north node. Well, Rahu's transiting Aries until the 30th of October. Rahu is a powerful, driven energy. Can include scatter and smoke, as it were, and delusion. Are you up to understanding and responding to the nature of Rahu energy transiting Aries, and indeed your own Rahu energy, the destiny direction statement in your life for this incarnation? Rahu is driven and ambitious, so he needs to be purified and handled with awareness. So check out what house Aries is in your Vedic birth chart, and that will define the life area most affected by this Rahu transit. Rahu, North Node, always retrograde, is transiting Aries until the 30th of October and then enters into Pisces. So Rahu is in the first nakshatra, Ashwini nakshatra, now at the beginning of Aries. And Ashwini nakshatra's energy encompasses healing. So look out for possible ambitious drive into healing, getting healings in your life, incorporating healing approaches in your life. Be aware that as Rahu enters the first 2 degrees of Aries from the 23rd of September, and then indeed crosses over into Pisces, entering at the end of Pisces, and going through the last 2 degrees of Pisces, that's the Gandanta zone. So Gandanta zones are zones of immateriality where water sign gives way to fire sign. Pisces, Aries, Cancer, Leo, Scorpio, Sagittarius. And you need to know when Rahu's there, because there could be a great sense of immateriality, but possible openings to what lies beyond this material realm, which could be called like the God realm in many spiritual pathways, or nirvana in Buddhism. You get the idea. So I definitely get a reading booked with me if you're experiencing or want to know about these things like Sade Sate, Saturn's transit through the 8th house, Saturn's transit through 22nd Drekana. What is my destiny point? All those sort of things. Thank you.